I just want to tell you guys a little story about how the 6 Keys saved me. Now, back in the 90s, the train stations and the train tunnels were rocked with graffiti. I mean, massive amounts of graffiti. And back in the day, we used to paint on the stations, and they would rock for a minute. So it was a thing to do. People were bombing the stations up. Now, the story I'm about to tell you is about a mission I had with my boy Code and this dude Donnie. His nickname was Fame. He wasn't a graffiti writer. He was an ex-gangbanger. Now, we used to go to these tunnels and we used to terrorize these tunnels. We used to terrorize these stations to the point that they started putting these silent alarms on the entrance to get in. And we found out the hard way that they also put sensors at the top of the station, motion sensors that set off alarms to call the police. So we went to go paint Harrison Station, and we're painting the station. We just got our outline up, probably filled in a couple lines, and then all of a sudden, in the tunnels, you could hear someone coming miles away because there's echoes on the floorboards and the metal. So all of a sudden, I start hearing somebody coming from down the tunnels, and I'm like, oh shit, hey, there's somebody down the tunnels. And in your mind, they're either cops or bombers, but you can't afford to take that risk. So at that moment, Code was like, I'm gonna go upstairs, I'm gonna go see if there's a way out. So he left and he went upstairs. Now I'm at the edge of the train station, and I'm peeking down, and the way the train stations are, there's a bunch of beams lined up with each other, and when you're peeking down the tunnel, all the beams are lined up with each other, and I could see someone coming. And then I looked back, and there was somebody right next to me, because I guess the way that the beams lined up, you couldn't see the person like creeping up on you because it kind of like blocked the vision. So the dude, he jumped, he was a cop. He's like, Chicago police, freeze. And instantly I jump on the tracks. I slip in the mud, I almost fell. I start running down the tunnels. Now I'm running down the tunnels, and I look back and I see that they grabbed Fame, the gangbanger Fame, the other one. And I'm running down the tunnels, and then I'm like, fuck. I'm running straight towards Roosevelt Station. Roosevelt Station in the 90s was the police station headquarters. So basically, I was running straight to the police station. And I'm like, fuck, they're gonna cut me off. They're gonna be waiting for me. What am I gonna do? I'm like, I need to find a ladder that goes up and try to find a manhole or some way out of the tunnels. So I found the door, and I'm like, fuck, I don't know if it's gonna work, but I'm gonna try it. I open this door up with the 6 Key. Now, for those of you that don't know about the 6 Key, the 6 Key is a key that opens probably 85-90% of the doors on the CTA, and they still do to this day. CTA just cannot change the locks. There's too many of them. Or they don't care. I don't know. But anyways, this key saved my life because I opened the door and it opened. And I shut the door behind me and locked it. And I climbed up a ladder, and there was like a little crevice. There was nothing. It was cement. I'm like, fuck, there's no way out. So there's a little crevice. I stood in this little crevice, and I just sat there at the top of a ladder in a little crevice. And I waited there for maybe an hour, and I was like waiting. And then all of a sudden I pop out the tunnels, and everything was calm. And I popped out the station, and I went home like nothing. Now Code didn't come home until the next day. And he came home, he was beat up, black eyes, face messed up. And I'm like, bro, what happened? He's like, man, when I went to the top of the station, there was cops there. He's like, he noticed that a little crack of the door was open, and he turned around, and boom, they grabbed him. Now they had my man in the phone booth with handcuffs on, kicking him in the face, punching him. And one of the things that they said was like, man, that motherfucker, he was running, he kept getting smaller and smaller, and then he disappeared. And then they asked him, they're like, where does your friend go? And he's like, I don't know. Bam! They kicked him, they punched him for not knowing where I went. There's no way he could have known where I went because I ran through the tunnels. But I guess the crazy thing about it is that I used their key for the CTA to get away from the cops. And here's a little insult to injury that really pissed the cops off. Code happened to write "fuck the police" on the ceiling, or "fuck the cops," one or the other. But he wrote "fuck the cops" or "fuck the police" on the ceiling, and they seen it, and they caught him. So basically, they were not happy. They were not happy at all. And then when they chased me, one of them fell. So they were mad as hell that that I got away. They said he kept getting smaller and smaller, and then he disappeared. And that's how you disappear, like magic or like a magician. Also, be sure to like and share this post. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notifications button. If you guys have any questions about anything, just message me in the comments. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, let me know. Peace.